Hey guys! So I am so excited to come back for the live stream today. Thank you so much for joining us for the past 2 days. I super appreciate it. It's always nice to see some familiar faces on these live streams because it's really nice to be able to see and meet everyone. So it's about 10 o'clock now. I'm just gonna give it a few minutes for people to join in. If you're here, say hello and then tell me where you're from and then what you're looking forward to today. So I see a couple of people on the live stream already. Hi guys. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to save that till the end of the live stream. And also, I'm gonna be posting recaps every day during our mini bootcamp. And so it's gonna be on Facebook and on Instagram as well. You can post your question there, or you can also DM me if you're not comfortable posting it in public. There are a couple of you who have been private messaging me, so I hope my answer has been helpful to you. So VBerg1, hi from Oklahoma City. Hi. Hi Adobe Staging. Hi La Gonzalez Nieto. So thank you guys so much for coming back. I see some familiar faces, so that's really nice. All right, let's see. Okay, so it's 10:01. Let's just get started. I know your time is precious. So we're going to talk about color story today, and I think color story is really important because it really helps to tie our interiors cohesively together. It's also a really great way for you to build your brand, because I think a lot of times I teach our students in Cash and Cushions to build our mood board. So you can not only use mood board for client communication to make sure that you're on the same page, but you can also do it internally for your brand as well. Because I think it's really important for you to differentiate yourself from your competitors. There's, home staging as an industry, there's really not a whole lot of, there's not a high level threshold to enter the industry. So essentially anyone can become a home stager regardless if they have, official training or not, because there are many stagers who are self-taught. So I think it's really important for you to stand out amongst all your competitors. And one really strong way to do that is through branding. If you think about big companies like FedEx, like UPS, like Starbucks, Nike, they all have very strong, distinctive brands against their competitors. I mean, even in the coffee space, it's so competitive. You got Peet's Coffee, you got, was it Tea Leaf and Coffee? Now you have Starbucks, McDonald's joining in on the coffee war as well, but all of them have very distinctive brands and very different look and feel and also very different demographics. So for you as a business owner, you really have to figure out how can you boost your brand and make your brand stronger. And one way to do that is to do that through your color story and make sure your styling, your staging stays consistent every single time. And that's why having an internal mood board is really going to help you to do that. It's really going to help you hone your brand and then make it really tighter and stronger visual for your potential clients. This is why when you, for example, if you see the Starbucks logo or even just that green color from the logo, immediately you think of Starbucks, right? Because that green is consistently used throughout the company, on their cups, on their straws, on all their marketing materials. And that's why, because it's so consistent, when you see that color green, you immediately think of Starbucks. And so many big brands are really good examples for us to learn how to build our brands as small business owners. And this is why I think having a color story and having a very distinctive way, a very consistent way of how you approach staging every time is really going to help you to bridge that gap between a customer who may not be familiar with you yet, but have seen your work and your brand constantly in the marketplace. And also with your portfolio too, by having a very consistent styling and brand is also going to help you with client communication. Because I think one of the biggest misunderstanding about why clients hiring you, obviously there's going to need to be trust and relationship, but people are also hiring predictability. Just think about when you go buy a pair of jeans at Gap. You expect that pair of jeans to be the same every single time when you go buy it, right? And same thing with Starbucks. Every time you order the same coffee order, you expect it to taste the same. Doesn't matter if it's in San Francisco or in New York or even in London, in Paris, in Africa. So every single place across the board, it needs to be all very consistent. And the more consistent you are, the more refined you're gonna appear to your clients, and that's gonna be how you can move on from maybe doing starter homes to higher end homes and luxury homes as well. So let's talk about color story. So as we know, there are psychology and meaning behind colors. Like for example, we associate red as having appetite. It can be a very strong, aggressive color, but it can also be a very joyous color. A lot of cultures we know use red, associate red as auspicious. A lot of Asian countries do that, or people associate red as festivities, like Christmas. So color has very different association and meanings, and also there's psychology of colors as well. And when we're staging, we want to leverage those to our advantage. So personally, I use a lot of green and blues in my staging because they're my favorite colors, but also because they're colors from nature. So we see green everywhere in plants, in trees, in bushes, even on flowers, there's green leaves. And we associate blue with the ocean, the sky. So both of those colors are very soothing. So that's why I leverage a lot of that. Also because the location where I usually stage, we're, in San Francisco Bay Area, so we're by the bay. So naturally, we already have a lot of greens and blues in our color palette as a city or as a region. But it might be very different for you in the neighborhood. So that's something that you need to do your research on to make sure that you're hitting those marks, and putting in colors that is really going to draw your potential buyers. Because ultimately, remember, we are staging for the buyers. So it's really important for you to leverage the psychology of colors and then use colors to create focal point and then frame the space as well. So yesterday when we talked about building different, using different design theory and concept to build your focal point to really make it stand out and easy to read for the room for people who never been into this house before. And you can do that through colors, through using contrast. So there are many different ways for you to leverage colors. So you can have colors in the artwork, in your accessories, like soft goods, like cushions, throws, even like the big pieces of furniture itself, in your furniture as well. So there's lots of different ways for you to inject colors into the space. But the issue often is there are so many different ways, so many different places in a room to put in colors. So what happens when you put in too much colors or too little colors? So that's something where we usually get tripped up on. So that's why I think it's really helpful to leverage something like a 60-30-10 rule, where your primary color, the biggest visual block of color, is the most neutral. So that would be your 60. And then you have the supporting color in the middle, that's your 30%. So it supports to help to bring out the neutral color, and it also supports to to be more like a supporting actress in the movie, for example, to really push out that 10%, which is your strongest and then the most strongest accent color. So that's just a few ways for you to use colors. And the other thing we need to talk about is silent selling. So visual merchandisers do this very well. They really utilize colors and visuals to really help them push the merchandise. And a lot of it is that they're using colors that appeal to their target demographic. So you always, before you're staging, you have to think about, okay, who is coming in to buy this home? Like, what are some of the buyers that are coming in the neighborhood? And I know maybe if you're new in staging, you might not know how to figure out that yet. So one of the things I always do when the clients call me and give me the address, I always Google it. I Google for the listings in the neighborhood to see how it's staged. What are some of the things that the competing listings are doing really well? Because ultimately, when people put their homes on the market, it's also a competition for them. So there's a lot of listings happening in a neighborhood, your competition is going to be more. So you want to make sure that you stand out, like your stage home stands out amongst all the other competitions. If no one is staging in the neighborhood, then it's an easy job for you, because just by having the home looks very staged and very well presented, it's already going to stand out amongst all the other listings in the neighborhood. So before I go on the job site, I actually do my homework. I Google and I research and see, just everybody has listings online nowadays. So I just kind of look at, and then who are some of the top producers in the neighborhood. That's easy to tell because when you Google and search your listing, you see which brokerage comes up all the time. And so those could be really good ones for you to target for your realtor presentation because we want to work with people who are producing all the time. So it's a really great way for you to get your foot in the door by doing presentation and real estate offices. So I Google and see what are some of the trends in the neighborhood. I look at new constructions as well because that's a really good cue. New constructions, especially bigger builders, they always usually hire a designer to come in to project manage, to pick all the finishes. So it's a really good way for you to look at trends of what's happening in the neighborhood. And then I also look at what are some of the popular restaurants and popular shops in the neighborhood. Because the brand that your potential buyers like are also really good cues for you to understand what kind of demographics you're looking for. So for example, if you have a neighborhood that has a lot of new and hip and trendy stores that tell you that the demographic for that neighborhood is probably a bit younger. You know, if you see like an Apple store or Lululemon, Ralph Lauren and Anthropology, this is all happening in the neighborhood, then you know this is a very trendy, higher end type of neighborhood because they can afford yoga pants for like $100 each, right? So looking at local restaurants and stores is also a really good way for me to understand who are buying this neighborhood. And also from the store design itself, that's also a really good cue that tells me what kind of things, what kind of design elements and principles are really attracting this type of buyers. Like what kind of finishes they like, what kind of colors they like. So those are all different ways for you to do kind of your spy work before you before you come onto the presentation. So once you get to the estimate, I always have a conversation with a real estate agent as well. Like, who do you think is going to buy in this neighborhood? Usually the agents know this very well because they work in that particular neighborhood. With a younger agent, it might be a little iffy depending on if they do their homework or not. Just so you know, real estate agents are not created equal either. There are some agents who are really on top of it and who really specialize in neighborhoods. And those are the type of agents you want to work with because they specialize in that particular neighborhood, they farm in that neighborhood, and they know a lot of people in that neighborhood. So those are really good agents for you to get connected with and then hopefully to do jobs for them consistently. Basically, most of my consistent clients who are top producers, they all specialize in something. Usually it's a geographic area in the neighborhood that they worked in. A real estate agent I once met actually only take listings within like 10 kilometers of his house. And so he knows those areas really, really well because he specialized in those areas. And because those are his like daily life activity areas, so he knows a lot of people. So he gets a lot of referral traffic that way as well. And there's an agent that I've met, she lives in this giant condo complex that has like 1,000 units. There's like multiple buildings. So she only sells those condos. She basically monopolizes those condo complex because she is an expert. She lives there. She's easily accessible for the sellers and she's easily accessible for buyers too because she lives right there. And she knows the condos very well. She sits on the HOA board. So she knows exactly who her target markets are and she knows exactly who are coming in to buy. So it's really, really important for you to partner up with real estate agents like that because it's also going to help you cut your marketing effort in half. I'm a kind of a lazy person, so I'm all about doing what is the most efficient or the least hanging fruit kind of thing. And I think with running a business, there's so much going on because not only you have to do the staging, but you also have to manage your business as well. So I think it's really, really important for you to find the most efficient way. And so that's why it will pay off for you to do your homework and figure out what realtors that can be really beneficial for you to work with. All right, so coming back to color. So I would do my homework about who the potential buyers are in that neighborhood to kind of figure out the color scheme. And when I'm planning my color scheme, I think it's really important to have a limited palette. And what I mean by limited doesn't mean like, oh, I can only use the boring colors. No, it's that I have a main color and I have one or two accent color and that's it. So, so maybe I have or I have one or two main colors and that's it. So I have a primary main color and I have a secondary main color and then I have, a little bit accent and that's it. Because I think the more colors you introduce in a space, the more refined it needs to be. So you have to be very restrained. So on the free training next Tuesday on July 30th, I'm actually going to show you example photo of what I mean. There are ways for you to do a lot of colors. I mean, we have seen very dramatic interiors before, like all pink. But the thing is, why is it looking so good and so refined? It's because they use a monochromatic palette. That means they use the same color, but in different tones and shades of it. So I think it's really important to understand there are different ways for us to combine color. So if you look at color wheel, for example, we have the primary color, we have the secondary color, and we have the tertiary color. And there are different ways for us to combine different color palettes. So for example, complementary colors are colors opposite on your color wheel. So red and green, for example, they're opposite each other on the color wheel, and there's a very common color combination. We see that a lot, especially in Christmas. It's a very strong, very dominating color scheme. And so we have to think about, is this the right color combination for staging? If you were in the holiday season and you are staging in primary a neighborhood where everyone celebrates Christmas, using red and green can be very, very strong. It can be very overwhelming at the same time, but it can also be very festive. So it just depends on how you play it. So during holiday time, some of our clients do request us to put out like a Christmas wreath, but usually I want to tone it down because not everyone celebrates Christmas, for example. So I don't really put up a Christmas tree. If the client wants to bring one on their own, that's fine. It's up to them. But usually I deter from very specific things that target a very specific, whether it's religious group or ethnic group, because ultimately we want to capture a wide range of potential buyers. So I don't want to really like narrow it down so much where I'm losing out a significant portion of other population. And you just never know who's going to buy the house also. So this is why when clients ask for holiday wreath, I'm just going to be, I just use, a green, because we can display wreaths all year round. It's not a big deal. But I will use more kind of festive colors instead of make it specifically very Christmas looking. But yeah, so that's one way of putting colors together. The other one is called analogous. I always have problem pronouncing this correctly. But it's basically three colors side by side on the color wheel, and it's a really great way for you to pull colors together. We also have split complementary. So split complementary is a bit more subtle comparing to complementary. So it's basically three colors. So we have one main color and then two opposite colors opposite side of the color wheel. And that's a really good color combination, especially if you're beginning doing staging or you're not very comfortable with colors yet. That's a really good color combo for you to explore. And I personally also love monochromatic. I think it's so dramatic. It looks very high-end and very sophisticated and very chic. And it's something that works really well for a neighborhood house or an apartment that is very targeting toward young professional. So in San Francisco, in Soma, for example, it's next to the financial district. A lot of tech people live there. And so usually in projects in that neighborhood, I usually would use a monochromatic color palette because I know that it works very well. I see it in the new construction in that neighborhood. And it's people want more contemporary, more chic, more high-end kind of look. And then we also have triadic color as well. So there's three different colors on the color wheel and they're evenly spaced from each other. So these are all different ways for you to combine colors and do colors as well. Yeah. And then the last thing I just want to encourage you to play with proportion. So in staging, proportion and scale is very important, and proportion is very important when it comes to building a color story, because when you have the right proportion, like we talk about the 60-30-10 rule, it really helps you to build a very restrained and refined color palette that you can target very specifically for a demographic that you're staging for. Yeah. So that's all the lesson for live stream today. And I just want to quickly check the stream to see if you guys have any questions so far. Let's see. Hi, Bryco Interiors. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so any questions? And since this is a mini bootcamp, I do want to give you a little assignment. I just want you to look at photos, like interior photos that you like, maybe from a magazine, and then look at what color combinations they might have used that works really well. Or look and observe of your own staging photo. What are some of the common color combinations that you use all the time? Or some of the color scheme that you use all the time? Because when you start seeing the pattern, it's also going to help you determine your internal styling and the look and feel as well. Cool. So any other questions today? No questions? Don't be shy, guys. So, all right. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to end today's live stream. And don't forget, we have a recap on the Instagram post that's going to be posted later today. We also have a Facebook page post that it's a recap as well. And I will post a video up there too, so that you can watch it at a later date. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment in our Facebook or Instagram posts. Just follow us on just Instagram.com/stageformore or Facebook.com/stageformore. And if you haven't signed up for the free training next Tuesday, I highly recommend you to do so. We're also launching our interior styling course, Cash in the Cushions, and there's going to be a very special promo for you guys. And for those of you who attended live on the webinar, I'm also going to give away a signature course, our 6-figure floor plan. It's basically like a business in the box program that is self-studied. And that course is basically $899. So if you come on and participate, you have the chance to win our signature course too. So that's it. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Bye. Okay.